Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saeed. I do want to thank you for joining us tonight, Monday the 11th of April 2022, the first quarter of 2022, viewers. We are in the first quarter of 2022. Imagine that, Look how quick time flies. Look how quick time flies. So viewers, remember we are also streaming live on our Real Talk page on Facebook. Real Talk with Saieed Ali, like and share as we go live, viewers. We are also on YouTube, TT Real Talk. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you would know when we go live. Let me tell you something. Trinidad and Tobago, every day, it is something new that the government is bringing out to us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Every single day, they are contemplating and bringing out something new for us. Every single day. Imagine that, Imagine that. Just a quick update. Minister of Education, Dr. Nian Gasby-Dolly, has tested positive for COVID-19. Since the start of the pandemic, several government officials have had first-hand experience of the effects of COVID-19. In April 2021, Prime Minister Dr. Saieed Ali contracted the virus. He was in Tobago for Easter weekend. He was closely monitored by the Tobago Regional Health Authority and officials. Last September, Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, Ayanna Webster Roy, confirmed she was tested positive. Also, Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez tested positive in January. In February 2022, former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi confirmed he too contracted the virus. So since the virus existed in Trinidad and Tobago, viewers, several government ministers have tested positive for the virus. But nevertheless, they are human beings, just like anybody else. It's just that they hold the portfolio and the title of a minister. That is the only thing. Because at the end of the day, when they go restaurant, I go restaurant. When they go down Cora to make a cook with your duck and your boss up shut, it's the same thing we eating. It's the same thing we eating. When they go to any other parties and whatever it is, it's the same thing they drink it in the party. It's the same thing a normal citizen would buy in the party also. So they are just normal human beings. That is why I also hold them responsible for their office that they hold. Because they have the office to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Not the people of Trinidad and Tobago serve them. Understand that. So as we start off our program tonight, let me tell you something. You know why other countries, they stand against ministers in their countries? Because when they realize the nonsense that they are doing, sometimes the whole country retaliate of a decision made by cabinet members in other countries. The entire country sometimes come together. The US citizens come together and strike against ministers. In China, and it's the same thing. In Pakistan, in Dubai, countries around the world. They stand up in Canada, in France, in New York, in London, in Venezuela, even in the Caribbean countries right here. Citizens of the country come together to unite, to go against a decision that was taken by the government officials in their country. Why? Because they did not like that. So they decided to retaliate against that decision. So hear this. And I'll give a little explanation, and I won't tell you Colin. You see this whole week? We're talking about gas this whole week. This entire week, we're talking about the rippling effects of the gas price that will be increased on April 19, and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago will have to face it. Listen to this. Minister of Finance Colin Imbut has announced that a partial increase in the fuel price will take effect as of April 19th, 2022. Imbut stated that the adjustment were being made on the basis, listen carefully now, on the base of factors such as the effect of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on international oil price. Has international oil price went up? Has gas price went up? Let me go into some more details. He added that the government is aware of the effects of an increase. They are aware of an effect of an increase in the price of fuel on consumers, notwithstanding the fact that a fuel subsidy is a regressive measure. It both noted that the government is of the views that the liability of any fuel price adjustment should be shared equally. It should be shared equally, equally to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, not to the government ministers, because they do not purchase gas. Understand what I'm saying? Therefore, the public will be asked to pay half the cost, while the government absorb the other half of the increased cost.
The government is cognizant of the effect of an increase in the price of fuel on consumers, notwithstanding the fact that a fuel subsidy is a regressive measure. Accordingly, the government is of the view that the liability for any fuel price adjustment should be shared more or less equally. That is, the public should be asked to pay half the cost of the increased market prices of fuel, while the government absorbs the other half of the increased costs.
On this base, Imwood said, the cabinet decided, listen this, listen this. The cabinet decided that there should be, viewers, a partial adjustment of the price of motor fuel.
Therefore, at its regular meeting yesterday, the cabinet decided that there should be a partial adjustment of the prices of motor fuels, not to the full market prices, but sufficient to allow an equal distribution of the cost.
The cabinet decided this. Is the government of Trinidad and Tobago paying more for gas? Is the government of Trinidad and Tobago paying more for oil? This is what I'm asking. Has the price of oil went up? They decided, the cabinet have decided to adjust the price. Not the international market. Not the gas companies in Trinidad and Tobago. But the cabinet. Did the cabinet sit and talk about the rippling effect of that $1 per liter will have on citizens in Trinidad and Tobago? Did the government realize, the cabinet, did they realize that by adding $1 per liter, eventually everything will go up in Trinidad? Did they realize that? Does the cabinet realize that grocery price will go up? Did the cabinet realize that pharmacies will jack up their price, increase their price? Did the cabinet realize that the market vendors will increase their produce, their product price on it? Did the cabinet realize that taxi fares will go up? Did the cabinet realize that lawyer fares would go up? Did the cabinet realize that doubles price and sahina price and alupai price would go up? Did the cabinet realize that sweetie that sells for 25 cents will no longer sell for 25 cents? Did the cabinet realize that doctor fees will go up? Did cabinet realize that the water rate in Trinidad would go up? Did the cabinet also realize that Tea and Tech would look to increase their price? Did the cabinet realize that pensioners would have less money to spend on grocery and medication? Ask yourself that question. Imwood stated the adjustment will be made on the base of factors such as the effect of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on international oil? The cabinet came together and decided to increase the price. Is the gas company in Trinidad and Tobago paying more for gas? So the cabinet just came together and decided, you know what? We're going to increase the price. Remember, our Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, was thinking about removing the subsidy on gas price. This $1 increase per liter, will this $1 go towards the government to add to the subsidies that they are paying presently? Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Go right ahead, you're live on Real Talk.
Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Ali.
Wa alaikum salam.
They want to raise the prices, everything going to raise in the country. What about I am a government worker. Our salary is based on 2013. Sometimes you can't even manage to go through the month with the salary because I pay almost $80 to $90 passage for the day. You could barely buy enough groceries or food stuff to eat. What the government is going to do about this situation with salary as well? Because they want to be constantly like negotiating and keeping this house. How are we supposed to live?
So after you finish work for the day, your take-home daily rate is $90?
No, that is the salary. That is the price I pay to travel alone for the day.
Oh, $90 in passage?
Yes, and I have a son going to school as well.
And if the gas price is set to raise on the 19th of April, could you just estimate a figure that you would be paying in passage?
Well, it's according to what the taxes raise, because if all the taxes raise, if they raise them by $2 or $3, I have to take sometimes 3 transportations to reach to work.
So let's just say taxi credit increase by $2 or $3. You would be paying almost
$100 in passage for the day.
$6 added on, 2 for 6. Almost $12 added on to and from.
Yes.
So you would literally cross $100 in passage for the day.
Yes, sir.
Wow, my dear, thank you so much for sharing your concerns with us.
Thanks very much.
So viewers, this entire week we're going to be talking about the rippling effect of the gas price that would be passed down to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Just imagine that. What went up that would cause the cabinet to make a decision to increase $1 per liter? Why not 50 cents or why not 25 cents per liter? This entire week, viewers, from Monday to Friday, we're going to be discussing this. We're going to be discussing the rippling effect of the gas price that is about to hit Trinidad and Tobago on the 19th of April 2022. Caller, good night.
Good night, Saieed, and to all your listeners. This is the original imitation vaccine vegan. Saieed, I listened to a little clip on the news a while ago where the president said one of the recipients of the SCA 2020.
Yes, I heard about that.
Wrote a letter and she felt threatened. I want to know, how does she feel the way she have treated the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago with respect to the POLSC matter?
Yes.
She treated us with disgust, with contempt. She disrespected us. and she still hasn't answered. But more importantly, I hear they want to scrap the ranking of SEA students. Listen to this. I think the Minister of Education and the people who make that decision and put it out in the press, something wrong with their brains. Let us look at every stage in a student life. When you go in primary school, first year is do a test, right?
Yes.
Isn't that a ranking? Isn't that a means to tell you how you're performing?
Yes, yes.
So why do you want to scrap it? You know why do you want to scrap it? You ever hear a lady by the name of Joan Yule, right? Remember she had a program, this is scholarship, but we just call it in our own parlance, scholarship. You know they had an issue with these students who were the top performers, and I wonder if this issue now was to change that dynamics to get one of their own. And this goes back since Ellis Clark. You remember when Ellis Clark was alive and he had to choose a successor to Eric Williams? He had Kamal, he had Mahabir, and he had Chambers. And he changed Chambers and he tell us the whole truth, that people would have kicked up and ba 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 ba, and we understood what he meant with it. You know what the public do for that decision? What is that called Chambers? The ridicule decision. They call him Dancy. You remember that? So
make it short, my friend. Make it short. I have an interview to do just now.
Right. Okay. Thanks. I'll give you an interview. I want to hear what you're saying. Okay. Good night.
Thank you, my friend. So here is viewers. So if you can, here is viewers. The price of premium gasoline and super gasoline will be adjusted by $1 per liter to $6.75 and $5.97 per liter respectively, while the price of diesel will be adjusted by 50 cents per liter to $3.91 per liter. The cost of LPG remained at a fixed $21 for a 20-pound cylinder of cooking gas for domestic customers. The price of kerosene will be adjusted to $3.50 per liter, which is a little over half of the true market price. So here it is Trinidad and Tobago. Cooking gas remains at 21, which was normal 20, right? So viewers, we'll go back to this discussion. When the announcement was made by Colin Imbert on the adjustment of the food price, we took the initiative to contact the president of the Supermarket Association for Trinidad and Tobago. Now, good night, Mr. Rajiv.
Good night, Saeed. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Firstly, before we go forward on anything concerning Trinidad and Tobago, I want to hear your personal thoughts on the increase of the fuel price in Trinidad and Tobago.
My immediate reaction, Saeed, is that...
Now, just keep in mind, after you make your personal contribution, we go down to the supermarket.
No problem. So, my immediate reaction is that the timing was insensitive to an economy that had just received the green light to be fully reopened.
Yes.
We have children that are now preparing to go back to school after the Easter Holy Week is passed, and that is something that I found very disconcerting, given that households would have had to put out money to get the books, the school uniforms, and the related items to get themselves back out to work from a virtual modus operandi. Notwithstanding that the externalities, including the European war, the lockdown in China, and the supply chain constraints have all played a role in the situation of hyperinflation where it is right now. Because I want to point out to all your viewers that we are an import-dependent nation that produces absolutely next to nothing. The inputs of production for manufacturing are all imported also. So at this time, returning to the issue, I do believe that where the Cabinet and the Minister of Finance reflected on the fact that the transfers and subsidies needed to be reduced, the timing was what I took immediate issue with, Saeed.
Correct, yes. Now, Concerning the food chain and the importation and the price at the shelves in supermarket and groceries, even mini-marts throughout Trinidad and Tobago, could you tell us how the price of gas would affect the food chain in Trinidad and Tobago? The increased price, the dollar per liter handed down to us?
So when you look at the price of fuel, and when you consider that fuel is covers everything from transportation and that kind of thing, you're going to be faced with you're talking about factors that affect the cost of operation, and you consider that not just at the level of supermarkets, but at the level of importers, distributors, and suppliers and manufacturers of goods in Trinidad and Tobago. When you consider that goods that arrive at the port now need to move to the warehouses, and from the warehouses to the stores, and between suppliers to supermarkets, then you're going to be looking at something that they are going to be measuring incrementally, because every company breaks down department budgets to take a look at and how this affects their net on a month-to-month, semi-annual, and yearly basis. Now, this is something where you look at it and you consider the fact that diesel was affected by 50 cents, and the minister will point out to some accuracy that diesel is the primary mode of transportation for suppliers. So it's not, from that perspective, we don't expect that it will be too bad. But when you consider that other supermarkets and suppliers, not everyone is using that. That is why I say it will vary from supplier to supplier. And when we consider the cost of transportation realistically, Saeed, when we consider that it affects everything directly and indirectly, or where operating cost is concerned, you have to understand that there's an intangible correlation to the prices going up. And that's where the concern really lies, because you know that where the price now has increased, there is an inevitability almost in the air of price increases being signaled by suppliers of goods in what is already a very uncertain time, with the global economic factors and the social factors, the war, etc., that's raging on right now. Even though we have gone back to normal in Trinidad and Tobago, we also have to remember that the pandemic is still something that's happening, because China is presently in a prolonged lockdown, and that is also placing great strain on the global supply chain right now.
Yes. Now, the price that is handed down to us, it's obvious that taxi fares would increase. Right? Now, is there going to be an increase in salaries for citizens in Trinidad and Tobago? Rajiv, this is a question between me and you.
So I'll take your first point to start with. I feel it very much for the maxi taxis and the public transporters, who have been dealing throughout the majority of the pandemic with 50% capacity, which means that they've not been able to get the maximum utility out of a full tank of fuel. Now, that said, they've been operating on reduced earnings for some time. So we go back to the point of the household income not being able to recover to the point where, okay, you're going to tell citizens you're going to have to take more financial strain, but you're telling those same citizens that they will not have the opportunity to recover the finances that they would have been able to now that the reopening is happening. We've not been less than a month into the reopening. We've only just seen people return to cinemas, beaches, rivers, and get a sense of freeing up, so to speak, and you haven't given them a chance to catch themselves. And this is what I take real issue with, because when you consider that those public transporters, and they have many issues, fuel is the chief among them right now, but they have many, they will certainly be forced into a corner, and then it really reaches the point, moving into your second one now. At what point do we say we the business people, including the same people who are involved in public transport, say that we have to hold the price, because there is a ceiling against which the customer is going to say, I'm not going to pay that, even where food is concerned. And that's something that we are all cognizant of. So businesses will now be eating back into their own margins to keep the price where it is. And I have a feeling that will be at some point reflected in all sectors, including public transport. Where salaries are concerned, I believe there's a significant amount of back pay that the Minister of Finance alluded to, where the savings, according to what he said in Cabinet, would allocate for that, because there are back pay negotiations with some of these unions taking place right now. And I think that has to happen to trigger any further salary increases, given that they say that they're working against 2013 and 2014 rates.
Yes.
So, look at all these things, because there's a myriad of factors in play affecting each one of these decisions. So when you consider that salaries, are they going to go up? Now listen, when you have periods of inflation, and we've been through a period of hyperinflation, I really want to put it on the record here that this is the most price increases I think any of us in this industry have ever experienced. It has been so abnormal, it has been so crazy. This has never happened before in our industry. So where we see this, and where you see this kind of hyperinflation taking place, it's not necessarily in the best interest to be raising salaries to meet that, because when you do raise the salaries, again, there's the appetite by other businesses as well to raise prices commensurately. So there's a domino effect on all things. And I think what we're seeing now in a lot of our sectors, food-related, grocery, even restaurants, is the ability to hold a price point, because we're trying to recognize that the consumer can only stretch so far. That dollar cannot go beyond a certain ceiling.
Rajiv, I do want to thank you for taking the time to explain certain issues that we are facing in Trinidad, and we do hope to have you maybe sometime later on the week on our program again.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you. Have a good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
That was the president of the Supermarket Association for Trinidad and Tobago. So staying on the fuel price, viewers, Movement for Social Justice leader David Abdullah is calling on the nation to join his party in a demonstration throughout the streets of Port of Spain on Friday, the 22nd of April, 2022, to demand that the government revoke its decision to increase fuel price. This comes 2 days after Finance Minister Colin Imbut announced that the super and premium gas will be increased by $1 per litre and diesel by 50 cents per litre. Abdullah, who has given the government until April 18 to withdraw the decision, also rubbished Imbut claims that he is sharing the burden of adjustment between the people and the government. He called on the government to put more taxes on the wealthy companies and use the revenue to maintain the fuel subsidy. Abdullah added that the government's bad decision to close a refinery is now negatively affecting the population. Caller, good night.
Good night, sir.
Go right ahead.
This thing with the previous caller, I think so a man of your caliber should, dig into this thing and investigate this SEA result.
Believe me, I am doing it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir, because what is happening, if CXC, who is the body, responsible for grading these children, these very little children, and they have not altered the marks, who is this person, a high executive in the ministry, who changed those marks to include, because this boy who shared the gold, the president's medal, he was not even among the first 10, so something is fundamentally wrong there, sir. We cannot have government, this government intervening and have these things. This is very disturbing to, and when they remove the scholarships on the bursary, look at what kind of people, look at, there's only one ethnicity that's getting bursaries, which means that is demotivating the student, actually, who is, needs scholarship, who works so hard to get it. Secondly, sir, you have two previous governments, the Basdev Pandey-led government, and you have the Kamla Prasad-led government. They spent so much years in government without increasing a single tax.
Correct.
What is it this government, and they was able to put money in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund too as well. What is this government doing? You come and bring property tax. You come now increase the price of gasoline. From the time you increase the price of fuel, is everything is going up.
Yes.
I am not saying that this country is falling apart. It fell apart long time. A few years ago, this government. So they are incapable, sir. Dr. Rowley, I am begging you. You cannot govern. You don't have a clue, sir. Call the election and let us have a free and fair election. That election in the past was not free and fair. You cannot govern. Look, poor people are suffering. People sick. Saieed, over 2-3 months now. How much months? You cannot see that. People cannot get simple things like metformin. What is it this government? And you went so much time take out money from Heritage and Stabilization. You are taxing people to death. What is it you all doing with the money? What is it you all doing with the money? It is time for you to demit office, sir. Thanks a lot.
Now, I want to let her listen to this, Trinidad, Tobago, viewers of Real Talk with Saieed Ali, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Synergy Television around the world. Listen this. Listen this. Barbados recently reduced their gas price. I want to let her listen this. Listen this. Barbados recently reduced their gas price in Russia and Ukraine war. Based on the Russian invading Ukraine, Barbados Prime Minister decided to reduce their gas price. Hold on. And Ukraine fighting a war with Russia? Yes. So here this, Embed stated that the adjustment were being made on the basis of factors such as the effect of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on international price. The cabinet took a decision. The administration, the PNM administration, the PNM cabinet took a decision to increase fuel price to $1 per liter on super and premium. Listen this. Listen this. Embed said, based on the war, based on Russia invading Ukraine, that is what he said. In all this war that is taking place with Russia and Ukraine, Barbados Prime Minister dropped the price of fuel in their country. Listen this now. Guyana removed the tax on fuel in Guyana. And Russia still invade Ukraine and they have a war going on. 2 Caribbean countries not far from Trinidad and Tobago reduced their gas price. How the hell Colin Mainboard could come out and take a decision by his cabinet because of the war in Russia invading Ukraine? The cabinet decided to increase the gas price in Trinidad and Tobago. Or you could tell me something? But when Saieed come up on the platform now to open all your eyes, that all you have eyes to see and to preach down in all your ears, that all you have ears to hear, all you say Saieed bashing the government. We are bashing the government and bringing common sense to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. It's common sense I'm bringing to you. Barbados reduced their price. Guyana removed the tax on fuel. What we do in Trinidad, we cabinet members, you know what they do? They took a decision to increase it based on the war that is going on with Russia and Ukraine. If I'm talking nonsense, you tell me, you know. You tell me. Because the entire world know Guyana dropped their price on gas. They removed the tax. The entire world know Barbados president dropped the price of fuel in their country. But we in Trinidad and Tobago, we like some dummies in Trinidad and Tobago. We gonna say, okay, the government raised it $1 and we gonna pay the $1. And we are rioting yet. The other day KFC raised condiment $2. $2 on the condiments, and you know what? People start refusing to buy their KFC because they have to pay $2 more for ketchup and mustard. You know the price drop back? That is the power we, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, holds as an individual. That is the power we hold. So if we decide now that we're not using the car to go to work and we're going and travel, let me tell you something, it will have a rippling effect. All you have to do is to decide you're not paying it. The maxi, the taxi, the P-cars, the bus. If the Taxi Association in Trinidad and Tobago come together and band their belly for 1 week, together with the Maxi Association in Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you something. If these two units decide to come together and say, you know what, we're striking for the week, you know what's going to happen in Trinidad? The cabinet have to take a decision and revoke the $1 because things done expensive, families done broken already. What we gonna do? Rob and kill now to make ends meet? Huh? No, Saeed, you're bashing the PNM. How the hell I bashing the PNM government when Guyana Prime Minister removed the VAT and Barbados Prime Minister dropped the price of fuel? So the war that is going on in Ukraine and Russia, it only affecting Trinidad? No, I'm asking you all, is it only affecting Trinidad? Huh? Because of the war, we had to raise the price. When Guyana, right up the road there, war going on in Ukraine and Russia, but Jamaica dropped their, Guyana dropped their price. War going on, Barbados dropped their price. War going on, Trinidad and Tobago increased their price. Do what we look like, some dummies in birth? Huh? We look like some dummies in Trinidad and Tobago? That is why I don't beg people to fund Real Talk or to run an ad. Because when I come here and I start to talk about the truth, nobody can call me on the phone and say, Saeed, don't bash them, you know. Here we're going on. Use part of the problem. And I will hang you up on the phone. Because this is what we are facing. Two neighboring countries drop the price while we want to increase the price. So them other countries are facing war then. If Dal coming to Trinidad, Dal are going to go to Guyana, Dal are going Barbados. Because when I went Guyana, I Dal. When I went Barbados, I Dal. So this is what we don't see head cabinet now. Decide to do to us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. When they're supposed to be fighting for the citizen, they want to fight against the citizen. Am I talking the right thing or am I talking nonsense? You think about it. Caller, good night.
Good night, Saeed.
Go right ahead.
Don't raise your pressure for them, no partner. Don't raise your pressure for them. Now, Saeed, a lot of topics, and the hot topic as it is, the fuel subsidy being removed, right? You hear me?
Go right ahead.
Right. Do you remember the finance minister saying in a previous budget that he's going to free up the retail market by selling the gas stations, the private sector?
Correct.
So you sell the state company, right? This is before the subsidiary was removed, right? Mm-hmm. You still have the plan to sell the retail gas stations. So you remove the subsidy and you sell the retail gas stations. And these retail gas station owners now say, let us sell fuel at $11 and $12 and $13 per litre. The government has no say because just the other day, the Honorable Paula Gopi-Skunu is on an interview saying government cannot control the price of products on the market. Mm-hmm. So then what we have here therefore is best we just hand the keys to the private sector, let them run the country.
Correct.
You understand? Because you are taking off the subsidiary washing your hands of everything that is your responsibility, and then you're leaving it for the working class to shoulder that burden, that's not making sense. God will really have to put in a help when they decide to free up the retail market and sell to these 1%ers that they plan to sell to, because they know they ain't going to say we go sell and they ain't have a buyer. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You refuse to sell that petrotrin or the remnants of petrotrin to the unions.
Yes.
You're making all kind of bob and weave and saying they ain't come up with the right amount and all this kind of thing. You always want to sell to external bodies and look at external proposals, but you don't want to sell to your own countryman. You understand? But you're saying that you are a government of the people. You understand?
Correct.
But as you rightfully say, for anytime you start to talk against them and interfere with their God, you understand?
Yes, yes.
Anytime you interfere with PNM, it's like you interfere with God. You understand?
Thank you, Mike.
Right?
Yes, yes.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, my friend. You see, let me tell you something, viewers. We are fighting politics, you know. I ain't fighting politics at all. But you see, when you hear come up with a nonsense decision, when you hear I watching Caribbean countries reducing cost, and we increasing costs, first thing is that because of the war, because of the factor of the war with Ukraine and Russia, the cabinet took the decision to raise it. Well, let me tell you something. In Mia Motley's cabinet, they took the decision to reduce the price of gas based on the war that is going on with Russia and Ukraine. In the Guyana's cabinet, the present administration, their cabinet took the decision to reduce the price of fuel in their country because of the war that is going on in Ukraine and Russia. What we do? What we do? And then the Prime Minister now have the guts to come out and tell now, Charles, what it is you have with Barbados and what it is you have with Guyana. Why you don't go Guyana or why you don't go Barbados if you want? Because I could tell you something, the cost of living in them country is probably cheaper than Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, Saeed, you're bashing the government. Kola, good night.
Saeed, how you doing?
I good. Go right ahead, my friend.
All right, Saeed, I hear your point, but keep this in mind, all right? That some countries are in certain positions that they can drop the price of oil, and some countries, due to their position, cannot do that. We have been subsidizing oil, and we should not be subsidizing oil. However, at the other end of the story, as a gas-producing nation, nobody should have to pay that much money for gasoline. But we have found ourselves in a position, and now we have to do this. It is sad, but we have to do this. I don't know Barbados' particular situation, all right? I just don't take it for the surface that she's reducing the price of gasoline. It is very complicated, the oil prices. So therefore, Trinidad made a mistake, but now we have to adjust to it. So please, Saeed, come on, ease up, bro. Come on.
No, I'm not easing up. I'm not easing up. Caller, you on the line?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Let me read something for you. You see, these are the kind of challenges I love. These are the kind of challenges I love. It stated that the adjustment were being made on a base of the factors such as the effect of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So when Russia invaded Ukraine, did Ukraine come to Trinidad? No. When Russia invaded Ukraine, did they go to Guyana? No. When Russia invaded Ukraine, did they go Barbados? No.
No. But perception is greater than reality. People
we have a refinery in Trinidad here, you know.
And we should be refining oil. I don't know why we're paying gasoline.
Guyana don't have a refinery. Barbados don't have a refinery. Let me tell you something. We have a multi-billion-dollar mine in Trinidad and Tobago. I would say it's a gold mine on those terms because of the refinery we possess in our country.
Saeed, I don't disagree with you, but we found ourselves in a position whereby we cut down our refinery and we have certain financial responsibilities that is killing the country. So we have to start raising price. But let me tell you, regardless of who fault it is, Saeed, let's face the reality that somehow, today, every price will go up, not just in Trinidad, but around the world. It's just that we have to make a balance. What do we choose? Do we raise the price of oil, drop the price of food? What do? We have to do something. We cannot stay still.
Now, let me tell you how to fix this problem we have in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I'm not disrespecting your opinion, and you're not disrespecting my opinion. So we understand that level of of conversation. What we need to do in Trinidad and Tobago, you see that refinery? If that refinery ain't start back to build Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you something, we will end up like Haiti in the desert.
You are right. We have to start the refinery back. I don't know why they cut it down. At first, I thought it was important that they stop supplying money to the refinery. But you know what? I found out that they still made money. So therefore, we shouldn't have closed the refinery. I do agree. But how long would it take us to build the refinery back up so we could start producing oil and selling the product like you said the other day? Sell the oil, get a product, and make something and sell it to the day. So I do agree with you on that. Okay?
Thank you, my friend, for understanding. At least we didn't end our conversation on terms. Thank you so much, my friend. You see, Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not here to send Trinidad and Tobago down the gutter, you know. Let me tell you something. 100% of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago would not stand up to do what I do, you know. They would not do that. They would, let me tell you something, people will start to bash them, and as you hear bash them, me are taking that shame now. You know, people will tell me, people will say, Saieed, you're the biggest voodoo man in Trinidad and Tobago. I just say, thank you, but be careful, you end up by me one of these days. That's why I just tell them, you see, I understand that being a voodoo man, God gave me this ability, it didn't come from man. It didn't come from man. I was born with this. So hence the reason why I will be bold with it. And I just tell anybody, anytime you want to come after this voodoo man, feel free to come. I will deal with you like I deal with the individuals and them who try to kidnap my son. Fair and square. Fair is across the board. Hey, let me tell you something. I have a script full here, you know. Full script, you know. But it's just that the cabinet took that decision. Why did the cabinet took that decision? Huh? Guyana's cabinet, they removed the tax from it. Myanmar's cabinet, they reduced the price of gas. We cabinet took a decision to increase the price of gas. Why did they do that? Why? We now coming out from a pandemic that cost Trinidad and Tobago a lot. Guyana was in a pandemic too. Barbados was in a pandemic too. Jamaica was in a pandemic too. They had to lock down. We're the only Caribbean country. We are the only Caribbean country that increased the price of fuel because of our war in Russia and Ukraine, while other countries decreasing their price, we increase it. How fair it is for us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to watch another neighbor reduce their price of tomatoes and the neighbor down the road raise the price of tomatoes. Barbados is our neighbor right up the road there, about 2 or 3 islands up. Guyana take a plane 15-20 minutes time, half an hour time you're in Guyana. You see what I don't like with citizens? Oh, Saieed, you're bashing. You're bashing. I'm bringing reality to all you. Whether you're UNC, you're PNM, whatever party you belong to, you would have to pay the $1 increase. And I go tell you something. When you have time to take that money to go by the pub, it's a no red jersey and yellow jersey there, you know. The only jersey it will have is the one on your back giving the cashier the money. The parties are feeling the pinch you feeling as an individual. That's why I always tell people, I am not affiliated with any party. I am here to hold the government responsible for the actions they take and hand it down to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Because every 5 years, all they're begging me, like some beggars, vote me, put your finger there, put that X there. All are like beggars coming down to me every 5 years. And after that, from beggars they turn to riches. To riches. They don't business about you again. Who vexed lost by me? And I will tell you as it is. That is my job. My job is to bring the truth to you. My job is to bring solution to you. My job is to highlight the problem we are having and look for a solution for the problem we are having. Because me sitting down in Trinidad and watching Guyana drop their price while war going on. Me sitting in Trinidad and watching Barbados drop the price while war going on. What happened to we ministers, boy? So this I ask myself. This I ask myself. Caller, good night.
Very good evening to you, Mr. Said.
To you, my friend.
You remember when Christ was on the cross and he asked for water? The Romans told us, dip a piece of sponge in some vinegar and push it by his mouth. This is what the government is doing to us. We are drowning, and rather than the government extend a hand or a lifeline, they throw in foundation block to us and telling us sketch. And another thing, remember on 3 occasions when he said he raised it by 15%,
yes,
and another 15%, and another 15%, and we are at? There was no war in Ukraine and Russia. There was nothing going on in Ukraine
Correct.
and Russia at the time. So, I agree with you, and the caller before who trying to be sympathetic, listen, the resources of the state, they cannot call everybody and give you a check from the resources. But we suppose, how the people supposed to benefit is by good medical care in the hospital, by subsidy at the pump, and things like that. So, there is only one way to solve this whole problem. I was talking to my wife recently, and I told her, Sigil, why the hell they are privatize the government? She said, you dreaming? They done do that already. All the best. Have a great evening.
Thank you, my friend. Watch me now. All of you feel is joke I talking, you know. All of you feel is joke I talking, you know. If your tank taking 50 liters of diesel, I mean 50 liters of super to full, that is $50 more coming from your pocket. When you could have go by the grocery and buy something for $50 and still fill your tank. Now, you only have to fill your tank. Take what I'm telling all you. All you feel is joke. All you feel is joke. The government, Rowley said, they shut down Petrotrin because of the production. I keep reminding you, National Flour Mill, we ain't had no wheat in Trinidad. We ain't have none. They importing wheat, creating it into flour and selling it back for us and exporting. We ain't had no flour mill. I mean, wheat. We ain't have no wheat in Trinidad. We have a refinery in Trinidad. We could buy gas. If we don't have enough oil in Trinidad, we buying oil outside at wholesale price, refining it and retailing it back to outside. Because I'm going to tell you something, they have to pay for refined oil. Refined oil, not raw oil. Understand what I'm telling all you? When you buy, listen to this, listen to this. When you buy a pine from a farmer or in the market, you're going to the market, you're buying 5 pine for $20. 5 pine for $20. You're taking 1 pine, you're peeling it, you chop it up, every slice you chop up, and you put in a bag with a little salt and a little pepper and a little bandana, and you're selling that for $10 per bag. Per bag. If you get 4 bags in 1 pine, you cover your capital that you put out. So your profit remains on 4 pine. You're buying the raw oil outside. You're refining the oil in the refinery in Trinidad and Tobago. There's a cost for production. When you take out your cost of production and you sell it back to the retail market in US currency, Let me tell you something. It's millions of dollars they're making. Why do you think a farmer just plants a big area? They look for profit. Just imagine, you're planting your garden and you're retailing, you're making, you're wholesaling and you're still making. So these analysts who sits and advise the cabinet, let me tell you something. Ask Guyana what they do and ask me and Motley what they do. Ask them what they do. Because I could tell you something. These Trinidadian analysts, it's like they need advice from outside people. They need support from outside people. Understand what I'm telling earlier? Understand what I'm saying? After the 19th of April, 1 week or 2 weeks after the 19th of April, then you're going to feel. You see month 10? April month 10 to the first week in May. You see when you hear you get a monthly salary or a fortnight salary and you realize the expense you're rounding off to, then you will understand what Saieed talking about. Let me tell you something. After the 19th, production right through Trinidad and Tobago, operational costs will go up, you know. Operational costs will go up. And the final product of operational costs, that will go up also. And who it goes down to? Who it goes down to? You and I. That is who it goes down to. That is who it goes down to. It's sad, you know, it's sad. But this is the reality. And this entire week, viewers, we're going to be discussing the rippling effects of the gas price that is to hit Trinidad and Tobago on the 19th of April 2022. While we sit and watch Guyana reduce their gas price and Barbados reduce their gas price, let me tell you something, I wouldn't be surprised to see other Caribbean neighboring countries reducing their gas price. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. See, I will tell you something. When you're working for $40,000 and $50,000 a month, and you don't have to pay for gas, and you don't have to pay for food, and you don't have to pay for traveling allowance, and you don't have to pay for dental, and you don't have to pay for glasses, and you don't have to pay for the grocery in your house. It's a different thing, you know. Take what I'm telling earlier. It's a different thing, you know. You see the pensioners on them? That little benefit that they're getting, that $3,000, which they're barely surviving on presently, that will be a different thing. By April month and to the first week in May, the end of the first week in May, then you're going to hear the real effects of the $1 that have been added on to gas in Trinidad and Tobago. You ain't going to feel it now. You feel Saieed talking nonsense now. You feel he talking nonsense. You feel Saieed on TV and he just bumping the gum. No. No. Remember everything I tell earlier. Everything I professed earlier. Already see reaction of it later on. We does see it. So viewers, we have about 2 minutes left on our show tonight. I just want to remind you that you're looking for money borrow, looking for quick cash. You have collateral, you have security. Contact me. Remember, I am a licensed money lender. And if you want to make 3.5% on $100,000, you could also contact me. 339-1670, 238-6716. And you could also WhatsApp me on 267-7325. Viewers, let me tell you something. In the coming weeks, and I know, let me tell you this, Every time I tell Allah in the coming weeks, I just rarely use that word. Very rare I just use it. But when I tell Allah in the coming weeks, you will see rippling effects of how bad we could get. Let me tell you something. Every time I use those terms on television, we just see it. We just see it. So in the coming weeks, Allah will see what I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you. But them a business about us, you know. They don't. They don't business about you. They don't care if you get up in the morning and have a bread, you know. That is not their job. Their job is to just go into the government office, reassemble laws to suit a clique of people, and that's it. That's it. Just a clique of people will be benefiting. That is all. So like I said before I end my show tonight, if you want to make 3.5% on 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, contact me at 3391670 or 2386716. You can WhatsApp me on 2677325. Remember, I am a licensed money lender also. So if you're looking for some quick cash, you have security, you have collateral, feel free to contact me. Feel free to contact me. So viewers, Allahumma salli ala anta bikir rahamalu Allah. God placed individuals in each country and in each continent and each community to guide people along the right path. He had placed Moses in Egypt to guide his people on the right time. So until we meet again, good night.